But real change that is not so emotional based is through policy. So the power of the protest is that it's actually a tool. The protest is actually a tool. It is a tool to use to take to the table for negotiators to leverage the pain, leverage the experience to say, you need to make this change. It's when you go to the table and you say, these men, you want this to stop, these men should be arrested. And furthermore, police need to wear cameras. And furthermore, training needs to happen. And furthermore, and you negotiate these different pieces. You also have, you negotiate the risk. If you don't, I always talk about the art of war. Rule number 9, if you do not address this is what's going to happen, right? And so the protester is the role. The voice, the speaking truth to power is the role. And the people that go up into the rooms and negotiate with other community leaders, other community CBOs, community-based organizations, other people that have the power to change policy within its isolated or separate corporate organizations or institutions, or on a whole policy level with the Speaker of the House and state lawmakers and so on. That is what should happen. So let's talk about when Martin Luther King would march, or when there were marches that would go on. He wasn't always there, but you know where he was. He was when there was a march going on. There's this one instance where he was at the White House, and they're telling him you have the power to stop this, and he said, no, you have the power to stop this. And so he's at the table negotiating the whole policy, changing policy. So what I ask is, we don't let what is happening in the streets go to waste, that we are following the model of Dr. King and other great leaders. Protesting is only one part. The speaking truth to power in the media is only one part. Negotiating is another part. What are the steps that says this is going to happen? They don't get just to leverage that moment and say, okay, go home now, we arrested the cop who did this. What's next? And you have to hold them accountable to make sure legislation is put in place, to make sure policies internally is put in place. And then they also go to the mic to say what has been decided, when will it be done, timelines and concrete list of things. That's the power negotiator too, because that usually comes out of that. But there's even another, not on my watch, it's handled, that takes to the media. If you watch Olivia Pope, after she's fixed everything, there's some type of media announcement. So you do all the work, the leveraging, you hold them accountable, and then you go to the media and you announce what is happening, the timeline, to make sure that there's a record that this is going to happen. But even after we change policy, if someone lost their life, they're not coming back. I'm going to go back to the fact that it takes a great deal to go out and protest. But the trauma and the pain you may experience and see, that is a whole other experience you have to go home at night, lay in your bed and sleep with. What we're seeing on the news is exhausting. And if you're Black, you are tired. I know I'm tired. And our days are different. And it feels like the song Strange Fruit. I know this is about lynching, but it's just eerie feeling about normalizing Black death. I see the pain. So even after policies happen, we must do some more work to heal. Take some time to focus on self-care, to heal, and to do something for yourself. Reflect on what has happened, and find out how can you further continue to do some work to change in your community. And change isn't always protesting. This event called for that. If you're Black, there's a good chance that you've experienced racism or discrimination in some way, shape, or form at least 5 times in your day. If you are Black, there's a good chance you have gone to a school or a college and something has happened, either a microaggression, a discriminatory comment, something has happened to you. We're normalizing it. If you are going into a store or places of business, there's a good chance that has happened. There are some people who say they do not. Got it. But for a majority of people, this is the reality. So I ask you find out, do some internal work. What has affected you? And I mentioned this person, institution, society. And how can you change that? What problem do you want to solve? Because that's what you can do. I ask people with privilege to use your privilege and leverage that privilege to make change. There are so many roles that you can play in making change. Don't forget the policy and negotiation that has to change, that goes along with right, that goes along with marches, that goes along with protests. Don't forget to take care of yourself. Don't forget to check your privilege at the door if you have it. Don't forget to use it to make change the world. I know this was a long video, but I had something to say, and I got to say it. So thank you for listening. My name is Hannah Jones, and I believe that everybody is a genius. And I believe that everybody's purpose to solve at least one problem in this world. So lead with me.